and congratulate Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister Mr. Anthony Albanese for achieving this very significant milestone today. With the approval of both houses of parliament, now they only need to go to the Executive Council, which is somewhat like our cabinet, and we have to go to our cabinet. Both of these processes will happen in the next few days. As was just now informed, these are two democracies with very shared interests on the world stage. We have very strong bonds of friendship at every level, government, business, and people to people. We are vibrant democracies with interests in the supply chain resilience initiative, in the Quad, several initiatives that both countries are doing together on the geopolitical front also. And clearly, an agreement which Australia opens 100% of their lines with not even any restriction on quota, unlimited restriction of 100%, is the first time Australia has done for any country. It reflects the confidence and trust between the two countries. It reflects the strong bonds that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has built with the governments in Australia, and is a big recognition of India's growing stature and our capabilities that our businesses provide to the world, both in goods and in services. Incidentally, this agreement was also finalized after extensive stakeholder consultation at every level, with every industry. Unlike free trade agreements that used to be finalized in the olden days, 10 years, 12 years, 15 years ago, where I am told by many industry associations and export organizations, as well as I see in the files, that decisions were taken without substantive stakeholder involvement and consultation, which very often led to lacunae and very often led to negativity about the agreement in certain sections of business and industry. You will observe that both major agreements done by Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, whether the Comprehensive Economic Partnership with UAE or the Ind-Aus ECTA agreement, both have received near unanimous, or for that matter unanimous support of all stakeholders in all the three countries. UAE, Australia, and in India, every sector is happy. Every sector has supported this. Every line ministry is completely on board in agreement with the decisions taken. And the IT sector is the biggest gainer. So it also reflects, for all your consideration, that services plays a very increasingly important role in free trade agreements. After, we are all aware that today services constitutes a major part of economies. And our focus when we are doing negotiations is both on goods and on services. And the IT industry has shared with our ministry that if this tax goes away, which has now been approved by Parliament, Australian Parliament, they can see a quantum jump in their business with Australia. I'm sure the IT industry will be immensely pleased with this very big achievement that has happened today. Another issue that I would like to share with you particularly is the fact that for the first time we have got visas for Indian chefs and our yoga instructors. And we have also got a commitment that every child who goes from India to study in Australia will get an opportunity to work there depending on the quality of the level of education. So a STEM graduate, suppose somebody is a STEM graduate, science, technology, engineering, maths, he will get up to 4 years.
Yes, sir.
He will get up to 4 years work visa. Subject, of course, to their processes that he has to be competent, he has to be good enough to work. But he will get the ability to work for 4 years. And different levels. If it's postgraduate degree, I think he gets 3 years.
Postgraduate is 3, sir. Doctoral is 4 years.
Doctoral is 4 years. Postgraduate is 3 years.
Bachelor is 2 years.
So, very good opportunities for our young boys and girls who go to Australia to study to continue to work there and in a way make up also for the expenditure that they do for studying there. We may also like to note, as it was mentioned, it's the first FTA with a developed country after almost a decade, and a country with whom we have so much complementarity. You saw from the charts that we have nothing where we are competing with each other. We are providing largely finished goods, capital goods, and value-added goods, which gives us a lot of job opportunities for people in India. While he mentioned 10 lakh, we will of course be looking for more and more opportunities to see how Indian businesses can get bigger market share in Australia. They are large importers of capital goods, of finished goods, automobiles, many products they are importing in Australia. They have focused their economy mostly on raw materials. And raw materials coming cheaper to India will actually make Indian industry more competitive and help us gain export interests of market share with other countries also. So it's a win-win for us on both sides. Imports coming cheaper on the raw material side or intermediate goods will help us become more competitive in other markets, will help Indian consumers get goods and services at competitive prices. So I'm also playing my role as Consumer Affairs Minister, and this will help our industry add jobs, add work opportunities, help our startups and stakeholders of different industries. You may also like to note that we have also talked to them for recognition of dual degrees, so that our educational institutions, thanks to the National Education Policy 2020, which Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, after extensive consultations, nearly 3 lakh feedback was received. And that is another policy you may have noticed, no criticism. Otherwise, till date, there has never been an education policy which was not roundly criticized by different sectors. This is one education policy which has found resonance with all sections of society. And we believe that with dual degrees, we can also earn foreign exchange with Australian children coming to India for part of their course. And this way, Indian students' expenditure also will reduce. If part of their training and study is in India and part in Australia, the whole expenditure will come down. I'm only sharing with you the multifarious dimensions and the benefits that this agreement will give to India, to Indian businesses, to Indian students, to the people of India, and of course will help us strengthen our geopolitical partnership, our friendship with a friendly democratic country like Australia. Because of this agreement and businesses wanting to set up manufacturing in India, we also see a lot of potential for jobs by Australian investments coming to India, manufacturing in India at scale to serve both Indian markets and the rest of the world from India, which will create job opportunities for our young boys and girls. Finally, as I had mentioned in an earlier interaction, for those of you who remember, our pharma industry will get a big boost because medicines which have already gone through a rigorous approval process from USA and
UK.
UK Any of our medicines or any of our factories of pharma already approved by USA and UK will have a pathway, a fast track mechanism to get approval in the Australian regulatory system. So another area which will get huge benefits. As textile minister, I can share with you that the textile sector has been keenly waiting, and in fact some of them have already started a dialogue with their counterparts, importers in Australia. Some missions, textile industry delegations have already gone and have started discussing and having a dialogue with Australian counterparts, and sectors like textiles. Our gem and jewelry is very excited about the potential of selling to high income earners in Australia their products. Our lab grown diamonds will get new opportunities. So this is going to really open up significant new opportunities in so many sectors for our Indian businesses. And finally, I would also like to compliment Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi for the wonderful relations he has kept bilaterally, bipartisan, with both the political formulations. The Labour and the Labour, which is the current ruling party, and the erstwhile ruling party. You may recall this agreement was finalized when another party was in power. After that there was an election, because of which some months were lost in the process. Because of a similar process like India, they could not go to parliament during election. But you will note that the good relations that Prime Minister Modi has built with both parties, and the fact that Prime Minister Modi from first day directed all of us negotiators that an agreement has to be good for both countries, good for businesses in both countries, good for the people in both countries. This was the direction Prime Minister Modi gave us in the first meeting when he agreed to launch this negotiation. And an agreement which is good for both countries obviously will be found good by both the parties. So the new incoming party also found that this is an agreement which is good for them. Under Prime Minister Modi's guidance, I had already had engagement with the Labour Party and my shadow minister before the elections of Labour. We had appraised them what is being finalized. They had wholeheartedly welcomed it. And another thing which I think is a very good sign, that the then party which negotiated and the party which is in ruling Australia now, both have found this to be a good agreement. One party finalized the agreement, the new party approved the agreement. It's a big endorsement for Prime Minister Modi's leadership and a big endorsement of both political parties in Australia for their statesmanship and for their approach, which is in the interest of both countries. Thank you.